Okay, hi guys, Andrew here. Gonna go through some stuff on Tour 10 par 3s, and I'm gonna start with the Gokasho Bay holes. Now, I just want to go over a couple things real quick because I had some questions in that. First of all, this is how I started. I made a notebook with each hole, and made notes on the hole. How I did that is watching videos like, say, Tommy or uh, going Zachary Jones and going through some stuff and the way they play. And I originally made notes and then changed them for the way that I thought might be better or whatever. And you're going to see, like, we're going to go through stuff, and I think that you know you're going to make changes according to what I do, and working together, we can dial these holes in. So I think it's important to write things down. It helped me just remember. So like I don't even look at the book really anymore. I made notes according to what other people were saying and tried. And then sometimes when things didn't work, I would look at my replay. Why did I land there? What happened? Was it the wind? I now always play with the wind arrow on the notebook tool, which is completely different than playing the Tabi style of plus 20s and 30s when they don't exist. They're using those elevations to replace the wind effect. So this video is going to be on what I think true elevations are, and then using the wind arrow to compensate for the wind. And if you play that Tabi style and you don't have a way to play with the wind arrow, so when I say the wind arrow, this is your notebook tool, and I play except for rough bumps but any other shot I play with this. The only time you'll see me sometimes put a +5 in when it's not there is because the wind might be like here. So let's say if you had a 10 wind with a sniper, right? If you added 5%, you'd be at 10.7. See there in that? But you can see the wind is almost like dead straight across. That's 10.7. So whenever I have a straight side wind, I'll just put that 5% in. If it's more into like that area, right, you could hit +10 or if you're running at a time. So that's just something to make it faster. If you are using the notebook, if you're new to it, you're going to notice that you're running at a time and it's frustrating. But all I can say is stick with it, because when you get it down, you'll notice that you're going to be playing a lot better. Okay, so let's go to the first hole. Okay. And we're going to go to Gokasho Bay hole number 3. So you'll notice almost in all the par 3s we're going to go through here, almost all of them I play 0 elevation. This one is a different animal. Okay, this one, make some notes here. And you'll have to bear with me because I got a new tablet and I'm not familiar with this pen. I would prefer to write these things in, but I can't. My Apple one I had no problem with. Okay, so this hole is always going to play +30%. And that seems like a lot, but it's real. And I know just from playing it so often that I always play at 30 plus that wind arrow. Okay, so you have to remember, if you're not playing with this wind arrow, right, that sometimes if you have a headwind on this hole, you're going to have to play it like +40 plus you get into some crazy numbers. But with the wind arrow and +30 for me is the consistent part. I try and always play this shot. So, and you can't always play that shot, but that seems to be the most consistent shot, the easiest. But sometimes you can get in between clubs. This is a hole where another hole where this is the Goliath outdoes the Grizzly. In a lot of winds, the Grizzly can't get you into that spot where you're adjusting through the bunker and stuff, which I don't like to do. So the Goliath on Tour 10, I recommend the Goliath over the Grizzly, and this is one of the holes why when you get to the shootout, you can get sometimes a little screwed by the Grizzly. Not that you can't play another shot with the Grizzly, you just can't play this shot, and I think that this is the best shot. So this shot is always going to be, okay, max backspin. So max backspin. And if you're using the Goliath, so if you have a wind in this direction, okay, you're going to be using a Goliath. If you have a wind in this direction, so that'll be G for Goliath. And this direction will be your wood, most likely your sniper. Okay, but you can play it with any wood. Now, you don't get as much backspin with, like, I have a lower level cat that sometimes I can't get enough backspin and have to fool around that way. But and we'll go through some videos showing that. Okay, so the other places you can play is you can play down here, and you can play over here. Okay, these are the 3 shots, I think, only for this hole. Oops. Okay, so on this shot, so this would be like a grizzly shot from the right side, okay, or a Goliath. Now, I only usually play that wind if, let's say, for example, you got a power 4 ball on or a power 5, and you've got a tailwind, right? That it might make it hard for you to play the Goliath because your minimum for your Goliath might be up here, but you want to play the shot from down here, and you can get into a mess sometimes. So there are some situation in wind, and we'll see those that you want to play here. And when you do play this shot, there's a little bit of a trick to not play too much backspin. It looks like your ball guide's going to go, but it depending on the spins, okay, so it's going to be roughly 3 backspin, and we'll go over that when we get to those shots. And what you're going to do is play as much left spin as you can, and you're going to play about a ball of curl. And what's going to happen is you're going to pop it over that bunker. It's going to bounce, and it's going to bounce over the bunker. And with that curl, you're just going to curl it into the hole or towards the hole. And then this shot from down under, I try and play and land it. Let me see, get the eraser here. I try and land it. Oops. Right at the top of that shadow. Okay, and I usually like to play left spin. If you can see this little circle up here of the hole, the hole goes from left to right on that side of the green. So I like to play a little left spin there, and depending on the wind again, so let's draw up here. So with, let's see, if we just put our wind directions, and I'm going to make this better for everybody and proper notes. But let's say in a wind that way, okay. So if we had that tailwind, right, that it's going in the up direction, you're going to play that about 1 to 1.5, depending on how strong the wind is topspin. And when you have a wind in your face, you're going to play it maybe about 3 topspin. Okay, and then when you get to the middle, you're going to be somewhere in the 2 range. And we're going to go over that when we see the videos of what gets dialed in. Okay, so this shot, the shot we were talking about, max backspin, this one is the one we just did. And then this one to the right, you'll see it's depending on how much headwind or tailwind but roughly about, say, 3 backspin. It might be a little less with a headwind. Okay, so let's get to some of the videos. Okay, so these are all sort of in a random order. I might not have better clubs or worse clubs. I've tried to set up, when I did the video, the app of how I was playing it. So you can see here I've got a power 4 ball, and I put 6-2, and this is the one from the side. Okay, now let's stop this here. So what we had, so I would say that's about the +5 wind that we talked about straight across. I've got a Goliath 8 on and a 6-2 wind. Now this should be +30 plus that 5 for the side. So I don't think that this got adjusted enough. This should be like a mid. So see how what I did, okay, I see, is I just compensated the percentage and played it max 3/7 probably. And you can see I'm really in the mid zone. Okay, so I'm really in that 3.8 because and so I just compensated it that way. So let's go on. So, okay, I'm playing it from down low. So what you saw there was, it looked like about, let's go back just a touch. Okay, so let's see here. So that's about 1 3/4 topspin into a side wind. And you can see right at the top of that shadow. And playing at the 3. Oh, okay, so that's perfect. So hit a great left, which isn't the worst thing on this hole because again, see this left to right, it comes down the hill nicely for you. The more you go left, the more you sort of come down, right? So if you do hit it softer, you want to go up on the left. Okay, so let's go to the next. Okay, so we have a 6-1 straight across wind. So I can see this is before I probably played with the wind arrow. So I was probably, like, I think when I dialed this one in without using the wind arrows, I just always played at max. So let's see how many rings I pull here. And where it lands. So I'm aiming right above that shadow. Let's see how many rings we get pulled. So that looks like about 4.5. Let's see where we land. Sorry about that. Let's go back a notch. We don't see where we land because the tree got in the way, I guess. Okay, so we can't see our exact landing area, but it seemed to have come in pretty nice. Okay, let's go to the next. Okay, so here's an interesting one. 12-7 in our face. So I would always play a sniper here, but I was probably trying to get videos of playing from down here. Because this shot, when you have the headwind, the sniper is actually the easiest shot. Okay, so again, right at the top of that shadow. Now let's see again how did I adjust that? Come up with this. So I played 12-7 with the wind arrow at 0%, and then probably played at max numbers though. See, I shouldn't be doing that. I should be putting that plus 30 in always, but then playing in a min number because that's really where I am, pulling into mid. So I would guess, let's see here, how many rings I played. So that's 3 topspin and a left spin. Okay. Let's go back and see that again. Oh, I played a right spin. And aiming to the left. Okay. So let's see how many rings this really is. So that's the 8.1. Okay, so let's stop there. And let's look at what this really should be. So was that a Goliath 8? Yeah. Okay, so a Goliath 8, if we played it at plus 30, okay, with that 12-7 wind in our face, okay, and we start in the min, right, and then we're pulling it up so many rings that we are pulling it into about that 8 range. So if we were to play with the arrow, okay, that we started at min, but we're probably adding, 20% or something to our adjustment. And that's right around the same number as 8. So that's the way I would play it now. Back then, I would have put, something in and fooled around with the elevation or playing it in max numbers, even though I'm in mid. So this is a good example of going forward, of using this arrow, of being more precise. Now, if you guys, for those of you that don't understand what I'm talking about from going from min to mid, so let's quickly take a shot of this here. Okay, and let's draw on this guy. Okay, so our min line is somewhere right around where we're playing it, just a little behind us, say, okay? And our max line is up here, okay? So again, the way I like to look at it is like a football field, okay? So there's our box, okay? Now we're pulling, okay, at least what we talked about, 7 rings would be the minimum. So the 30%, 12-7, wind arrow in our face to the right. Okay, 7-2 would be as if this is where we were shooting. If we were shooting right now, we would play like if we were landing there. Okay, so what's happening though is that we're pulling in this direction, okay, about 7 rings. And if you look at how big 7 rings is on the Goliath, I'm going to end up aiming sort of in this direction, right? Which is around our mid number, that 8-1. So it's sort of the same thing as what I'm showing you. So it's important to understand that you're playing your pull towards like where your pull is going to end. That's how you get your min and your mid and your max. Okay, so when you're pulling back, sometimes you're pulling out of max, you have to take something off it. And it's an experience thing, it's a feel thing. But I just want everyone to know that that's where I'm getting these numbers from. So that 8-1, okay, because I'm pulling towards, so and you can see is, you're pulling out to say the 25-yard line or the 30, and you're trying to just guess in your head how far it's going, and that's where those numbers come from, okay? So let's go back. Okay, let's watch this again. So this one with that strong wind is a 3 topspin. Okay, and played that 8-1 that we talked about roughly. So see where that target ended up in the middle of that bunker like we talked about. And it landed a touch short of where we aimed. We were aiming at the above the top of that shadow. We landed right on the top of the shadow, but a pretty good weight shot overall. Okay, next. So again, with these headwinds, I would always be playing from up top, but it just goes to show you that the shots is still pretty good as well, as long as you get it down. So here we had a 9-6 wind. So same sort of scenario as before, is that, I was skewing the numbers with this one, but we get to about the same spot. So I probably was pulling about the 6-6 here. Let's see, that looks about, yeah, I was 6-6. So I was pulling max instead of putting that plus 30 in and all that, but you would get to about the same number. And we can go over that too in a sec. So that looks like a great landing spot. So the 6-6 was right. Okay, and the 3 topspin. So that 3 topspin was the right weight as well. Okay, so now we have 9-6 in that direction is a 3 topspin from there. So that's, where I would go back, and I would write in my notes. Where was I? Oops. In here. Where did we? Oh, we erased it. But that notes that I had, that we were showing the arrows going up. So in that, wind in my face, right, I would write 9-6, I would put 3 topspin. So I know when I have 10 like that, I might play 3 and a touch. Or if I have 12 wind, I might play 3.5. And that's sort of how you get the notes down. Okay, so let's go to a new one here. So let's see how I played this. I just put 6-8 again, and I bet you I'm just going to play that max is 3-7. So let's just make sure that our numbers are right. So here we go. If we were playing the plus 30, that's a straight across wind. It's not even really it looks pretty straight, dead on, with 6-8. Okay, the 3-7, right, is in between that 3-2 and 4. So aiming up there, if my min line, okay, is around the bottom of that white, circle there, okay, that this 3-7 sort of makes sense because I'm about 5-10 yards above that, right? Okay. Okay, so that was our side wind. It looks like even like a little more headwind on this one, right? And we played less than 2 topspin. So there's 3-7. And this one comes in pretty nice too, a little short. So we know now, because see when we turned it around to adjust and it was like, wow, that wind wasn't side wind. It's actually a bit in my face. See, I could have added a little more topspin. That would have been a better play. But the weights are still pretty good, right? They're going to win you the holes a lot. This hole, you have to be always close or you're going to lose. I would say, like, when you start getting higher trophies, you got to be within a yard and a half, or you're going to lose the hole. Okay, so here's our first look. So let's pause here. So see, we're going to play from up top. Okay, now we've got the tailwind. Okay, and the thing about the tailwind is we know we're playing a Goliath. So you always have to know right away what ball or what club you're going to be using. So, and it makes your adjustments faster. Get that all ready right away. So every time from the top we have a tailwind, right, we'll be playing the Goliath, and every time we have a headwind, we'll be playing the sniper. Okay, and we'll see that in a sec here. So let's see here. I played 8-8, and I played that wind, and it looks like I played plus 20. Okay, so that would be, so this the 7-6. So this is how I used to play like that. So see how I played the 7-6 there, and we'll go over that in a sec, and why that works. Okay, so that's a pretty good shot. So what happened was, okay, so this where the 7-6 came from. So let's go over that. So that was also a Goliath 7, which might change. But anyway, let's see if we get the same numbers as that. So we had an 8-8 wind, and it was up. Okay, and if we played it plus 30, right, with a power 4 ball, okay, we would get to 8-5. Okay, the difference is when you're pulling back the 8-5. So look, so where you see where I'm aiming now, and you can also see the wind effect I'm playing. See how I'm playing about 2 green squares short, right? Because I know that ball is going to push out a little bit. Like when it lands, it's going to uncompress it and go. That ball guide is going to go quite a bit further than it's showing. Okay, so the important part to realize is what I do now. The difference of when I played then and when I play now is that, see, I would play the 8-8 and I would do it all the way it really is set up. The difference is when I'm pulling that 8-8, right, I will be pulling until halfway in that bunker, which really is, I should take a ring off, right, which is about, the same adjustment. And you'll also see where I landed. It didn't clear the bunker by much. So, like, if I was sitting, like, playing this hole today, right, and had this wind, is what I would have done is adjusted like this, plus 30, 8-8 wind in my back, okay, and then I would have taken a ring off because I know I'm pulling way back, and I would have said, okay, 7-8, and that's important on these higher wind shots, the 8+ wind shots. That's not so important when the winds come down and you're only pulling a couple rings, but when you are making these 8, 9, 10 ring adjustments, right, that you have to, and the Goliath rings are also so big, it's a lot of room, right? It's a lot of space you're pulling back. So we'll watch how far I pull this guy back when I pull here. See, my target now is in the middle of the bunker. Okay, so the other thing to also remember is that you lose a bit of distance when you pull into the bunker. Okay, see, that just cleared, right? So, this is a good example of maybe not what to do. Like, anyway, so let's go to the next. Okay, so this is a Goliath 7 again. So now, sorry, I missed the... So I'm playing this wind in my face. I'm playing from down here. So this is where I'm going to do that max thing again, and we know it just sort of equals out. So playing this today, right, I would play, min plus 30, right, and then, add, what we talked about. You're going almost into mid by the time you finish adjusting here, because you'll be into the bunker again. If I was just to eyeball it, I would say 3.8 here would be, or no, about 5 would be about right, I think. Okay, so we hit the landing area, and you see the rollout. So if you're watching this, and I suggest writing down, so when you're looking at these shots, so let's look at this one again. So from down here, of how much it's for the weight, right? So we're always going to get this landing spot down, right, from what we just talked about. And now this 7-6, so this should be, again, around the 2-ish, 2 and a bit. So there you go, 2 1/4, right? Remember when we had the strong wind, we were closer to 3. And this shot is like it lands basically right where the target is. So I played this 5-3. And it looked like the ball landed exactly right where the target was. Pretty darn close. And then comes in nicely again from that left side. Next. I have a lot of examples on this hole because I find it to be the most tedious ones. The other ones are going to be shorter, I guarantee you. Okay, so here's another backspin shot. Okay, so you can see I'm leaving ball guide well short of the hole again because I know that that wind effect is going to push me. Okay, what was my, how did I get to the rings? So let's see, we played plus 30, 7-9 with the wind arrow. So this is how I would do it today. You know, playing up. So as you can see, playing short of the hole because I know that ball is going to come down. Now I bet you I played this 7-2, and if I was playing today, I would play it closer to 7. So let's see if this comes up a little short. Oh, I see, I'm pulling up. So see how I pulled into the bunker there? So it's funny going, because these are older videos, I can sort of tell that I'm getting better as we go along here, getting to be, you know, better at doing it. So that's a good shot. And you can see because I pulled into the bunker, you're losing a bit of distance, so I just pulled a ring back up at the end. We'll talk about that another time. Okay, so now this is a good example. So see, head in my wind, but I've got a power 4 ball on. So watch, I take a look. I'm way past the hole, right? So I'm guessing, how many rings am I past the hole? About, you know, maybe 4 or 5. I'm looking. I'm like, okay. You know, I make my adjustment, okay? So as you can see, that was a bigger adjustment. And now what I did is I lined up, you know, and tried to pull like the 3 rings back. And you can tell this is an old video too because you can't see the ball going into the going into the circle when they did that change. So that was a nice shot too. So I was way past the hole, right? And I just mentally noted, okay, where do I want to be? Made my adjustment, okay, and then pulled it back. So because this was a sniper, right, this would have been min plus 30 with wind arrow, right, because I'm right in the min, and then I would have added like a 0.2 for where I'm adjusting to, okay? Okay, so this is like the same shot. So this is a power 5 ball, right? So basically, again, you know, Goliath plus 30 max, or not max, sorry, with wind arrow, and I'm in the max, but and then I would pull back. I would take just a little off for the amount of rings I'm pulling back. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Let's see, hopefully, so this is the shot. See how I had the grizzly and I can't get into the right spot from the top, so I'm going to play it from down here. So this is the grizzly shot from over here. So you can see that I'm in the plus 7 mark. See that plus 7? Okay, so that's right around for a plus. I would be less than max there. Okay, and then pulling away from max. Okay, so let's stop this for a sec. So if we had, what's that, a grizzly 9? So let's switch this to grizzly 9 plus 30, and we had 8-6. Let's go back a bit and see exactly. So 8-6, roughly in that direction. Okay, power 4 ball. And look how many rings this is. Right, because the grizzly has a nuts amount of rings. So we can see that that's quite a bit. Okay. Now, at max, so you see the +6 sign where I'm lined up? A max grizzly's probably, it will be more than +6, probably more about the +12, okay, would be a max grizzly. And we'll go over that in a sec too after this video of what that plus mark means. Really handy to know when you're adjusting this way. So that that +6, okay, is a little bit less than max. So, and we're adjusting backwards as we'll watch here, right? So let's see how many rings that I adjust, because I would guess that I need to be about 13.5 to 14, and that's my guess. So you can see the trees get in your way on that side, so you got to adjust, you know, the opposite way. I can't see. And you can tell I was playing on my iPad. I had no grid lines, so you know it was a 3-puller because I'm pulling in the opposite way. So not sure how many rings, unfortunately. But if I had to guess, right, it would be about a 14 ring. So as you can see, right, that's a pretty good shot from over there, that side. And the other thing is you can see how much curl it was too. Okay, so see that I'm sort of in between and I don't like the shot that I'm looking at. So all I did is move over here. Let's see how much. Remember we were guessing about 3 backspins. So yeah, so 3 backspin. Red ring to the sand sort of. Okay, so with a Goliath, you can see I'm at the +1 mark. But basically you're aiming in between the bunkers, right? Look like a bad adjustment, kind of a little sideways. And let's see, this is about this much curl. Okay, good landing spot, right where we were aiming. And see, that comes in pretty nice, right, that shot from the right side. So a lot of people don't play it from there, from that side. And it is a good shot. In, you know, if you had a left to right wind, I don't think you'd want to play that shot. But, you know, even this wind is probably okay to play it from there. Okay, so this is another one of these. So let's, we've seen this shot. You know, they're all very similar. Okay, I think that's enough for this hole. I have a whole bunch of examples. If anyone ever wants a particular hole, just message me and I'll get it to you through, if you have Google Photos, I can just put you on the link of those videos. Okay, so one thing I wanted to watch here. Okay, let's go. So the +0 and the +10 and +20, I want to just go over that. So when you have a white ball, if you're making a white ball adjustment, so see my adjustment thing here, this is your balls. So see how here, okay, I have a white ball on. And see, you don't see any plus anything. Well, that's because we are at the back, so we can't go further than that. But now here's a power 5 ball. Now look, I'm in +31, you see that? So when you're adjusting, right, you could use that plus sign. Well, how far away am I from max? Or when you pull past the 0 mark, you're going back towards medium, right? So it's always, when you'll hear me through some of these videos, is saying, play your shot from this plus mark. Okay, that's what I'm talking about, is that some people don't realize what that plus is. And every ball has a different max. So I'm switching here back to 0 when there isn't one. The power 2 showed +11. You know, and they're going to go up about 7 yards every ball power. Okay, so that's a good thing to when you're making your notes. I played my ball from the +4 mark with this much spin, blah blah blah, right? So you can see here a power 4 ball with an APOC 7. You know, I was into +24, but see there's 0. So if I was adjusting from that spot, right? Like if that's where I wanted my adjustment to be from, I could just put it on a power 0 ball, because even though I have a power 5 ball, I'm playing it at the max of a power 0 ball. So, like, let's say on this hole, right? Let's say it was a 10 wind again, okay, with an APOC 7, right? and no elevation, okay, the 0 ball would say max is 7.6, but if I had a power 5 ball on, it's 8.6. It's a whole nother ring, right? So if I pulled that to 0, and I would just be like, hey, I'm at 0, I would just put the power 0 ball on and it's 7.6. Okay, so it goes up about 0.2 to 0.3 every one. So see 0 ball, and I go to the 1 ball, it's 7.8. Go to the 2 ball, it's 8. Go to the 3 ball, it's 8.1. 4 balls, 8.3. 5 balls, 8.6. So you can see it's about 0.2 roughly per ball, like 0.2 of a ring. Okay, on a sniper, I think it's 0.2 for all of them. Anyway, just that's another thing to play with. That when look at where you are in your plus zones. Okay. All right, so that's it for that hole. Let's go on. Actually, you know what? I think I'll just do videos, one for each hole. So that's going to be the longest video, guys. So, and I apologize, it sort of dragged on. But hopefully that gives you a good idea. The plus 30 with the wind arrow. Watch where you're pulling your adjustment to. Okay, and we'll catch you on the next one.